Hey everybody, Adam here with Hometown Acres. Welcome back. If you caught our last video, you know that we've got a new firewood processor here on the property to demo for the next few months. And when I got home and got it off the trailer, I didn't take any time to set anything up. I just pulled it off the trailer and started throwing logs through it. I couldn't wait any longer. So that's what we're gonna do today. Now that we kind of got the bug out of our system and got the feel for the machine, we're gonna go ahead and try to work it into our process flow here, clean up the firewood yard a little bit, and make sure that we've got, our supply, our production, and our outfeed. So before we do anything, I'm going to bring the mower down here and get the grass knocked down so we're not working in the weeds. But if you can see behind the Yappa 315 over there, we've got 3, 4, 5, 6 piles of logs that we got to work through. And I really think that the Yappa 315 is going to chew through most of these because they're less than 12 inches. But what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to park the Yappa over here, and I'm going to leave the Eastimate Axis over there. That way I can pull in with the tractor with the grapple, grab all the logs and kind of sort them as I go. So anything that's less than 12 inches and straight, I'll bring over to this side to the Yappa. Anything that's crooked or over 12 inches, I'll take over this way to the Eastimate Axis to be cut with the chainsaw, and we'll split it that way. Now once we get through the first pile sitting over there, we'll start on this second pile. And when we start on the second pile, the Yappa is going to be in the way sitting over here. So what we'll end up doing is, because it is so portable, we'll just pick it up with the 3-point arms and then swap it out over here, and we'll start sorting through this pile over there. But before we do anything, I want to get this grass knocked down. All right, boom, wood yard mode. Next up, we're gonna go ahead and get the processor moved into place, and then we're gonna go ahead and start sorting logs with the Coyote tractor and the brute force grapple. Alright guys, so we just finished really running the Yappa 315 for the first time. The other day was just kind of a tease, but after running it for about an hour now, I have some first thoughts that I wanted to give you. So I'm going to break this down into pros and cons. We'll start with the pros. So the first one is, it is wicked fast. Like I said, we probably have about an hour in splitting the wood. I think we started at 5, finished at 8, but the first hour was getting everything set up. The last hour was sitting and talking to my neighbors, because as soon as they saw this thing when they drove by, they pulled up the driveway and stopped, so we had to stop and talk to them. But the other thing is, it is super easy to run too. And in fact, when my neighbor was here, he said, well, you're not going to be able to lie to your subscribers anymore and say you do firewood for the exercise, because I'll tell you what, I'm going to get fat running this thing. I could probably run this thing all day long and hardly break a sweat. Another pro is just how easy it is to connect and disconnect your PTO to run your power from the machine. And then you've got the fact that your tractor runs off of diesel instead of gasoline, and if you're like me and you buy off-road diesel for your tractor, your fuel's going to be much cheaper. Diesel doesn't burn as hot, so your motor's going to last longer, and it's just overall a more efficient fuel. The last pro that I have here for the Yappa 315 is the conveyor on it is really nice. Instead of having a steel chain track on it, it has a rubber track, and because it's rubber instead of steel, you can really speed that thing up because you don't have metal on metal rubbing, and it'll actually shoot the wood into the dump trailer, and it hits the center of the dump trailer a little bit better than the conveyor on the Eastimate Axis. Now in terms of longevity, I'm not sure what the pros and cons are of a steel chain conveyor versus a rubber conveyor, and I also don't know what the differences in performance are going to be in all weather conditions. You know, is the steel chain going to be better in the wintertime when everything's snowy and wet? I don't know that yet. We've only run it for, you know, an hour here in the dead of July, so that'll be something else we'll report back to you on, is how do the differences in the conveyors work in different types of weather conditions. Now for the cons of the Yappa 315. So the first one that I can think of is the footprint of the machine and the space that you need to dedicate to it. So if this thing had just a little Honda motor on the side of it, it would be a much smaller footprint. But because the tractor is the power plant of this, you've got to allocate space for the processor and the tractor, and you've got to leave room to get the tractor in and out if you plan on using your tractor to move logs. Probably my biggest gripe on this Yappa 315 that I've noticed so far is that it is not quick hitch compatible. It's off by about a ½ an inch, and I'm not an engineer or anything. I don't know how much would go into fixing that and making it quick hitch compatible, but that would be a huge benefit, because then you could really just back into it, lift up your 3-point arms whenever you wanted to move it around, and you're good to go. I hate screwing around with the 3-point arms on my tractor. Obviously that's why we bought the quick hitch. I would almost just assume take off my grapple, put on my pallet forks, and move the processor around with the pallet forks when I need to move it. That's how much I hate screwing around with my 3-point arms on my tractor. Obviously the biggest limitation on this processor is going to be the size diameter that you can fit through it. 12 inches isn't very big, but you've also got to consider what you're getting for what you're paying. This machine here comes in under $13,000. I don't know anywhere else that you can get a fully dedicated firewood processor that has a log lift, it's got your saw, it's got your splitter, and you've got a 7.5 foot conveyor for your outfeed. I really think that that's an incredible deal. So you really can't be asking too much at that price point. If you want to start looking into processors that can handle, you know, 15, 16, 18 inch pieces of logs, you start getting into the $25,000, $50,000, and I think even Eastonmade's most expensive firewood processor is somewhere over $100,000. So less than $13,000 I think is a pretty good deal. You're gonna have to make some sacrifices if you don't want to spend $50,000 or $100,000 on a processor. And then you've got the fact that it does tie up your tractor, which is what we're using to move logs. But I really only see that being a problem if you've got employees or if you consistently have people coming over to give you a hand, because you can't run the tractor and the processor at the same time. Now, one of the pros to this is you don't have to hook up your 3-point arms to run the machine. All you have to do is run your PTO shaft to your tractor. So you just need to back your tractor up, hook up your PTO shaft, and you're ready to go in 30 seconds. And the same goes for disconnecting it. So what we did here today is we brought over 15, 20 logs and then pulled the tractor around, hooked up the PTO shaft, and we're ready to go. Now that we've chewed through those 15 or 20 logs, another 30 seconds to disconnect the PTO shaft, run over here, grab another 15 or 20 logs. But like I said, if you have employees or if you have consistent help and you have somebody that could run the tractor while you're running the processor, then yeah, that might be an issue. But anyway, that is our first thoughts on the Yappa 315. Like I said, we've only run it for an hour, so I'm sure we're going to discover other pros and cons as we continue to use it more. But if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more of us running this processor, hit that subscribe button, give us a big thumbs up, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching.